אלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון נותן חסדים טובים בפני הכל, וזכר כזה יבואו ויביאו אל לפני פניהם, למען שמעו ואהבה, מלך עוזר ומשה ומרים, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם, אתה גיבור לאדוני המחיים מתים, אתה רב להושיע, מר לבשר, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיים מתים ורחמים רבים, שומר נופלים ורופא חולים ומעתיר אסורים ובפיהם ונטול לשני עפר, מי כמוך ואל הגבולות ומי דום מלך ממית מחיים מצנוע וישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיים מתים. ואמר קדוש אדוני צבאות מלך הארץ כבודו, לעומתם משבחים יום בריאה ודברי קודשך כתוב לאמור אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יראוך הסלע, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו הקדוש, אתה חונן לאדם דעת ולבן חכמה בינה ודעת, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו סלח לנו עלינו כי חטאנו, מחל לנו מעשינו כי פשענו כי אל טוב וצלה אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני חונן לומר ולסלוח, ואין עלינו ודיב לבנו וגאלנו מהרה למען שמך כי חזק גאל וחזק עתה, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל, רפאנו אדוני ונרפא יושענו ונשא כי תלדנו אתה ועליו רכש רפואה שלמה לכל מחוזנו, כי אל מלך רופא נאמן ורחמן נאצר, ברוך אתה אדוני רופא חולי עמו ישראל, ברך עלינו אדוני אלוהינו את השנה הזאת בכל מיני תבואה לטובה ודין ברכה על פני רמה ושרים ונברך וברך שעשינו בשנים הטובות בברכה כי אל טוב מברך השני, ברוך אתה אדוני מברך השני, וקרא בשחר גדול לחירותנו ושמנו נקבץ בגבולתנו וקבצנו יחד נעבד גם כל הארץ לארצנו, ברוך אתה אדוני ישראל, ושיבה שופטינו כבראשונה ויוציאנו בתהילה וחסד ממנו יבוא
ברוך הוא ברוך שמי אמן.
רחמך אדוני אלוהינו ותן שכל טוב לכל בטוחים בשמחה ואמת ושים חלקנו ההם לעולם ולא נבוש כי בך בתוכנו, ברוך אתה אדוני מפקיר לצדיקים, ירושלים עירך ברחמים תשוב ותשכון בתוכה כאשר דיברת וכיסא דוד ועבדך מהרה בתוכה תכין ובנה אותה וקרוב עניין בימינו ועניין עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני ירושלים, צמח דוד עבדך מהרה תצניח וקרנו תרום ישועתך כי לישועתך קיווינו כל היום, ברוך אתה אדוני תצניח קנן ישוע, שמע קולנו אדוני אלוהינו אב רחם עלינו וקבל ברחמים ורצון את תפילתנו כי אל שומע תפילות ותחנונים אתה ומלפניך מלכנו ריקם אל תשיבנו כי אתה שומע תפילה כל פה, ברוך אתה אדוני שומע תפילה, יוצא אדוני עלינו ועמך ישראל ותפילתם שב לעבודה להביא ביתך ושי ישראל ותפילתם באהבה תקבל לרצון תהי לרצון תמיד עבודה ישראל עמך ותחזני עינינו ושובך לציון ברחמים, ברוך אתה אדוני וצית שכינתו לציון גם בעת חיינו מגן אישנו אתה ולא לך ונספר תלתך רב חיינו מסורים בידיך ועל נפלותינו כחדות לך ונעל ניסך שבכל יום עמנו ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך שבכל עשר ובבוקר הצירים וטוב כי לא רחמך רחמם כי לא תמות ומרחים גילות עמוך חסידיך כי מעולם קיווינו לך. ועל כולם יתברך תממם ויתנשא שמחה מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד. וכל החיים ידדוך סלע יללו שמחה הגדול לעולם כותו. האל ישועתנו עזרתנו סלע האל טוב. ברוך אתה עונה ושמחה עונה להודות. שם טובה וברכה חיים בחן בחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך ברכנו אבינו כולנו ככה עבר פניך נתת לנו תורה חיים בארץ חסד שרקה וברכה ורחמים חיים לשלום הטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. ברוך אתה עונה כמו ישראל בשלום.
Quando chega aqui, vai matar uma
עבור על בשער ותקיע שם כיום ותצב עמו שם ועשים שבתנו ותרשים אנו מאמר כיום ויקרא והשם אדוני והשם נאמר. אשרינו אלוהי ישנו על דבר כבוד שמך ויצרנו וכפר חטאינו למען שמך. גדל וקדש שמי רבה ועל מה דיברה חירותי ומלכותי וישמח וקרם וקרם ושיקי וחייכון ויומכון חיי לכל בית ישראל ועגלו בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עולמיה יתברך משתבח וכל ותמם מתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקדושה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונקמתה למילם בעלמה ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלתון ובאותון לכל בית ישראל קדם אבון וישמעיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרב אמין שמיה וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. אמן ושבח חלקנו גם אנחנו קוראים
المعفوظ شعب
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. יתגדל ויתגדל שמי רבה.
אמן.
ועלמה דיברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי ועוצמה כרם כרם שכי.
אמן.
וחייכון ויומכון וחיי כל בית ישראל ועגלה וזמן קריב ואמרו אמן.
אמן.
שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ומאה ומאיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתואר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהלל ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקדושה בריחו.
אמן.
אלא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה ועמילם ועלמה ואמרו אמן.
אמן.
יהי שמם הרב אמין שמאי החיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
אמן.
יעשה שלום עממה ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
אמן.
גדל ויקדש שמי רבה. אלמה דיברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי ועצמה כרם כרם שכי. וחייכון ויומכון וחיי כל בית ישראל ועגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ומאה ומאיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתואר ויתרומם וינשא ותדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי לקדושה בריחו. אלא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה ועמילם ועלמה ואמרו אמן. על ישראל ועל רבנן ועל תלמידיון ועל כל תלמידי תלמידיון ועל כל מאן דעסקי באורייתא. ויתרה דין וכל עשר ועשר יהיה לכון ולכון שלמה רבה. הנה וכיסה ורחמים וחיים עריקים וזנה וריקב וקנה. אין קדם אבון דבשמיא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרב אמין שמיא וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום עממה ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
So we just do a quick story, then we'll straight to Maariv, right? A few minutes. So mentioned last night, today is the yard site of Ar HaChaim HaKadosh. Ar HaChaim HaKadosh, who was one of the only people we could give the name Kadosh to, holy. So there's a guy who lives in Australia, Melbourne, Australia. His name is Mato Krasansky. Mato Krasansky relates that in Tavshin Samach, Ayin, 2010. I was there 2000. 10 years after I was there. He was in, they had a chazan in the shul who kept on having, for a Shani Yom Kippur, he was a chazan. He was a big chazan from Israel, brought in. And during davening, he kept on looking at a paper. Little davening, he kept on looking at a paper. So he went over to him afterwards, asked him, he was just wondering, what are you looking at? I'll tell you, this guy, by the way, was a Buyaner chassid. What type of chassid was it? Chassid of Buyan. So he says that 20 years before that, meaning in 1990, he was by the Rebbe, and he told the Rebbe that he's going to be chazan somewhere in a certain shul for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And the Rebbe told him that you have to remember that we're praying to Hashem. We have to remember praying to Hashem. Okay, so at the moment, he didn't make much of it. He thought it was okay, nice. Anyway, he goes, he davens, and after Yom Tov, after the holiday, he was thinking, the whole davening, he's thinking about how to get the right tune, the right this, the right how to get you have to remember each one, the right tunes to do, and the right pitch to start at, and make sure his voice is ready. And he didn't think enough about Hashem during davening. Instead, he was thinking about his own voice during davening. So he realized what the Rebbe was saying. So what he did is he wrote it down on a piece of paper what the Rebbe said, and from then on, in the middle of davening, he looks at the piece of paper. He would look at the piece of paper, and every so often, every middle of davening, he would look again at the paper. That's what he would do. So then, Mato Krasansky asks him. He says, "What brought you to the Rebbe that time? Was passing by Sunday Dollar?" He said he was passing by the. So what brought you to the Rebbe that time? So he said that he was a young man. He was a newlywed. He was in Yerushalayim, and he had a cause. He used to like to learn the commentary on the Torah of the Orach Chaim. His yahrzeit. He used to like to learn his commentary. It dawned on him one day, you know how awesome it would be if he could learn the commentary of the Orach Chaim at his resting place. So he started going to the resting place of the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, which is in the outskirts of Yerushalayim. And he would go there every day, and he would, I don't know, day, once a week, whatever it was, everywhere he went. And he would learn, well, at least once a week, he says. He would go and learn the Orach Chaim there at the resting place of the Orach Chaim. I remember one time learning Rambam at the resting place of the Rambam. It was a cool feeling, and a lot of yahrzeit. But so he would go there. It was on Har HaZeisim, on the Mount of Olives, and he goes there and he's learning the Orach Chaim. He would do this for a while. Now, Har HaZeisim, surely at that time, wasn't the safest of areas, and one day he's there and he feels something. He turns around and there's an Arab there with a knife. So he turns around. He turns around to the kever of the Orach Chaim, and he said, "Please, in the schus, in the merit of the Orach Chaim, Hashem, please save me." He turns back around, and he sees the guy running. The Arab who was with the knife doesn't know what happened. The guy's running. So he felt the courage all of a sudden. He starts running after the guy. The guy ran. Anyway, he also ran. He ran for his life, and he ran home, and that was that. And he says over the story, and his mother says, "You can't go anymore. This is too dangerous. You can't go anymore." And he argued. He was arguing back and forth. He says, no, he wants to go. The Orach Chaim protected him, obviously. So he wants to go. He's not worried. His mother says, to the extent she was so worried, she said, if you go, I'm going to ready. You're putting your life in your own hands. I have nothing to do with you. That's it. You're crazy if you go. Anyway, but she, yeah, you're a good Jewish mother. But so he said that they agreed. They said, what if we write a letter to the Rebbe in New York? To be honest, let's write that to the Rebbe in New York and ask him his opinion. Would you agree? And she said, yeah. The Rebbe says, then you can go. So they write a letter to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe said, the Rebbe wrote back right away, ask a Rav. Ask a rabbi. So they went to the local Rav in Yerushalayim at the time, was Rabbi Weiss. He was the chief halachic figure in Israel until just recently. And he's like a very famous Rav. And they asked him for his opinion. So he says, the Lubavitcher Rebbe sent you to me to ask my opinion. I think, he says, this is if he wouldn't have wanted you to go, he thought it wasn't a good idea, he would tell you no. He told you no, don't go. He says, what must it be? Must be the reason why he said ask a Rav is because he does want you to go. But he wants the psak din, he wants the halachic ruling of a Rav, a rabbi, of a beit din, of a court. And once you have a psak din, once you have a court ruling of a Jewish court, then you have extra protection. Probably that's what the Rebbe wanted. He says, I have to follow what the Rebbe wants. This is what he was the Rav of the Eda Charetis in Yerushalayim. He wasn't a Lubavitcher. That's what he said. So he said, I rule therefore that you can continue going there And this Brianna Costa said, of course, that's what I did. So he says, that's what, he says, that was already that was the first time I wrote to the Rebbe. That's what he said. So Mato Krazianti asks him further. He says, you live in Yerushalayim. There's a lot of tzaddikim, there's a lot of righteous people, there are rabbanim in Yerushalayim. Why'd you write a letter to the Rebbe in New York? There's so many rabbanim, so many ravs, so many great people in Eretz Yisrael and Yerushalayim. And he named a bunch of different rabbanim, great rabbanim you have over there. Weiss was the great rav himself. Rabbi Weiss himself was the rav of the Eirach Chesed. He was the great rabbi. We recently, year and a half ago, we had a major issue over here, and we took it to his bed and took it major issue in the community or something. Took it to his bed. So he asked him, why'd you go there? Why'd you write to them? So the Chazan tells him, that's another story. He says his wife gave birth to a set of twins. A few years later, one of them was diagnosed with a serious illness, and they consulted with many doctors, and they consulted with many rabbanim, many different rabbis, and many different tzaddikim, many different kabbalists. They consulted with a lot of, and each one gave them a bracha, each one gave a blessing. So someone suggested they write to the Rebbe, and they wrote to the Rebbe also, and the Rebbe sent back. They should consult with Raisha Yedid. This is Raisha Yedid means a doctor. Yedid means a friend. This is something, by the way, the Rebbe would always say. The Rebbe was a standard answer the Rebbe always gave to people. You should consult with Raisha Yedid. A doctor is a friend, and I always tell people that whatever you probably heard so many hundreds of crazy stories, medical stories. Always go to a doctor who has your best interest in mind. By the way, I showed me a doctor that's a friend. Someone, friend of yours, my family friend. Someone just showed me. My wife just showed me a cartoon. It was a doctor doing surgery on the contractor. On his contractor, he was a contractor for his house doing surgery. In the middle of surgery, he says, I'll be right back. Contractors are known to be right back. Anyway, so the Rebbe tells him to consult with the Rebbe. He did a doctor as a friend. Anyway, he said, we were very surprised at the answer because we didn't know we had no family friends who were doctors. Live in Yerushalayim. They live in the observing community. They had no family friends who were, especially specialists in the field. They don't know anybody. Anyway, the next phone call they made, the next specialist, they go and they say, please let them go to a specialist. The Rebbe said a specialist. Rebbe did it was a specialist. They said they couldn't fulfill the Rebbe's part of Rebbe did, of a doctor who's a friend, because they didn't have any, but at least they'll be able to fulfill the part the Rebbe said to go to a specialist. So they go to a specialist. They go to a specialist, and the specialist, when they come in, he introduces, he says, my Yedid, he says. The doctor, the specialist said, my Yedid, like my good friend, my Yedid, how can I help you? You fall on the face. And that's the word the Rebbe said we should find, and we didn't find it. Here's a doctor who says, he calls me Yedid. So they go, listen, whatever, and at the end of the appointment, he asked the doctor, by the way, why'd you call me Yedid? When I came in, why'd you call me Yedid? I'll tell you the truth, I never call it anybody. But something, I don't know, you walked in, I felt something warm about you. I felt like, like a warm person. I called you Yedid. I don't know. I don't know. It's just something. So he tells the doctor what the Rebbe told him, what the Rebbe wrote. He should consult the Rebbe. They didn't know any Yedid. They didn't know any good friend. They went to him as at least as a specialist, and here you are. You called me. That's so crazy. So the doctor was also very touched, very blown away, and he said that there must be something more special over here. He says, that's the case. It must be where it's meant to happen. I'm not charging you anything here because you're my Yidid. You're my good friend. I'm not charging you for this. And exactly the treatment that this doctor said to give, Baruch Hashem, the child was healed, and so complete recovery, and and that was his story, going back to Ar Chaim Hakadosh. Because you're to this tonight. So night, Ar Chaim was known for his great miracles. Like we said, the Baal Shem Tov wanted to meet with Ar Chaim. They were trying to get together. Baal Shem Tov felt, famous story of Baal Shem Tov trying to travel to Israel and kept getting stuck on the way. And he couldn't get there. And what they said that Baal Shem Tov was trying to go there Israel to meet with the Ar Chaim, and he felt that they would together have the power to bring Mashiach. And of course, we heard the story this morning. Shimon said the story of Ar Chaim himself, who tried to bring Mashiach, tried to do everything possible to bring Mashiach. So night is close. Shalom Shalom Aliyah, and we should merit coming to Mashiach right away. Page 1 here. Oh, I forgot to ask. Just by vote over here, who thinks Mincha was terrible? You may think Mincha was terrible. The best we've had? I must say, not time is also pretty good, but everyone doesn't think it was terrible. Who thinks it was good? Everybody thinks Mincha was good. Mauricio, look at this. Woo! Wanna go for Meir?
You're selling.
You were good.
I'm good.
5-year contract.
I'll be right back.
You're a contractor? You're not a contractor, so we're not worried. We're inspectors. Very good. It was very good. No, for real, it was really, really good. Nothing. Mauricio, anytime you want, you have it.
I was hybrid.
Okay?
Had to be
We all wish Mauricio a good
חבוק קיים לפני משה ואליאן ויאמרו אדוני לא רם ומקיפה דעת יעקב גלות יד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל ולשון והצגת עולם כי יש שומר צירונות ברוך אתה אדוני שומר לסמו ישראל עד יפקד שמירה בה יאנו אדיר אחי יוסף וימליך מלכותיו תפוקר וקרב ושיחה ויכול כליו ומלכריו ואמי שמירה ומלכיו ומדבר איש ואחיש ורביסו מנסבית עד הרביסו מסלל שמדקו שבריחו ואילו מפרס ותפילות ותפילות ומתמאס אמירה ומאס ויפרו ואמי Skada, Shemiraba, Yano, Iraqi, Rusev, Yamlik, Hotel Sapurkan, Meshiche, Betha, Kono, Sebakala, Markari, Ramei, Yehesh, Mirab, Barazal, Mamid Barak, Isha, Face, Ferguson, and the Sevi, Sadar, Salah, Shmedeku, Sabriku, Eden, Kohasan Shiraz, Kohasan Kamasada, Miram, Ramei, Ishkar Salatona, with the Holy Sakada, Ishmael, Ramei, Mincha Maariv, Shmaya V'Chag, Devar Aleinu, Dar Kol Yisrael, V'Kru Amei. V'Yisrael Shalom, V'Mach V'Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Dar Kol Yisrael, V'Kru Amei. Aleinu, V'Yisrael V'Chag, V'Yisrael Shalom Garalim, V'Nam, Kol Yisrael Chavim, V'Moedim, Lifnei Melech, Malchi Amlach. Eloheinu, Ein Od, Emes Malkei. Loi Bashamayim, V'Ordita Chaseinu, V'Yarken, V'Kol V'Chag, V'Yisrael, V'Chana V'Giru, V'Gina, V'Kol V'Chag, וחבוס ככסו ושרשך דינאים לך לעולם ונאמר והיה דינאי למלך על כל הארץ ויום ההוא אדונך ושמו אחד. אמן. Amen. 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 Yes. Amen. 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 Yasha, everybody. Help make a million. Tomorrow morning, davening at 8:40. Whereas I will help with the million. Huh? We did Kiddush Levana, but.